Hi, this is Dan Sullivan. I'd like to welcome you to the Multiplier Mindset Podcast. I love the Boy Scouts, and I still have in my possession the handbook for boys that I received when I became a scout. And this is the complete layout of how you can go from a tenderfoot, which is the lowest position as a scout when you first come in, to being an Eagle Scout. And there's 4 or 5 levels that you go up, and what you have to learn and what you have to do to qualify for merit badges, and how many merit badges you need to get to star status and life status and then Eagle status. And in Strategic Coach, I always do a little survey of every Strategic Coach workshop, and I said, how many of you were Eagle Scouts? And there were an enormous number that were. It's really strange because I wasn't, and I didn't really have a competitive approach to Boy Scouts, but I was just fascinated how the Boy Scouts had come into existence, how they had organized, and how they kept scouts in for 4 or 5 years. And I've always been very, very interested in organizational structures that, one, last a long time. How do you get an organization, especially where you have a learning process like we do in Strategic Coach? How do you, first of all, keep the organization going for a long time? But more than that, how do you keep individual entrepreneurs in our process? And we have cases of people being in Strategic Coach for more than 25 years. And a lot of our ability to actually do that just comes from my observations of how we have individuals who've been in Strategic Coach for more than 25 years continuously. They've been here for every quarter, every 90 days for 25 years. 100 times they've come back for their Strategic Coach workshop. And I know a lot of our ability to actually arrange things, to actually create a program that is continually stimulating and continually useful, really comes from my observation from childhood of other organizations that I was in. And the Boy Scouts is a great example of that. There's not a year that goes by since I was 10 years old that I haven't sat down and in a matter of days read through the handbook for boys. You know, it's one of my most prized books in life, and I just love going back over it. And it wasn't because I went through the ranks and I got all the merit badges. It was just that I just enjoyed observing how the entire organization actually worked. So a lot of people say, you know, you have a Colby that suggests that you wouldn't be an organization person at all, you wouldn't be a structure person. But I'm actually very, very fascinated with how you organize things and how you create and structure learning processes so that they never end. So the Boy Scouts is more than 100 years old, and millions of boys from all over the planet still join. They have the kinds of experiences I did. And I really aspire that Strategic Coach, we're more than 25 years that we've been continuously growing, and every year we have more entrepreneurs come into Strategic Coach. They come from all over the world. My goal right now is 50 years, that we'll have 50 years experience. And I know when I'm planning this out and talking to Babs and talking to other team members, I'm drawing on experiences from my childhood that made such a huge impression on me. I would say just as a series of principles, that the number one thing is that you design your structure and you design your process for the people going through it. You don't design it for yourself. If you do a great job of creating value for the individuals who are actually paying, in our case, to be in your organization, then start with them as the organizing principle. And the first question is, what's going to make every workshop a very, very special learning experience for them that they know is very important for them to come back to 90 days later. And then at the end of every year, when it comes to signing up for the next year, they say, well, I'm getting so much good out of this, it would be foolish for me not to come back. So when I'm designing the structures and processes, I hearken back to my structure experiences and learning experiences, and I see where they really, really did create value for me, but there were also places where they didn't, where it became more and more about them. And I tried to avoid some of the mistakes that some of these organizations have done, some of the weaknesses I saw in it. So between quarters, when I'm designing new workshops, as we're continually adding to the concepts and tools that we have in Strategic Coach, I'm continually saying, is this about them or is this about us? And wherever I have to answer this is about us, I said, we don't put that in the program. We only put in things that are really, really useful for our clients and customers. It's not about us, it's about them. And if we keep doing this, we'll be taken care of. We'll be more successful, we'll be more widely known around the world. And all we have to do is make sure all the time that we're in touch with the experience that our people actually have and the experience that makes them very excited about staying with us literally for their lifetime. I mean, why would you ever leave Strategic Coach? And that brings up the second principle. And the second principle is that what happens in the workshops has to make a big difference in their life outside the workshop. And so the big thing is that actually Strategic Coach is not about their experience in Strategic Coach. Strategic Coach is really about their experience in their life between workshops every 90 days. So the transformation that has to take place has to be out in the world. It has to be in their business life and their personal life. And that's the real test of whether what we're doing in Strategic Coach is really real. It's got a real decisive difference to everything that we give them. And the third quality is that the experience is so great for them that they would recommend it to other people. And they say, this is very unusual. This is a very unique thing that I'm doing now. And what I'd recommend is that you just sign up. And I can guarantee you that everything that's happening to me, I'll guarantee to you that you'll get the same results in your life, but it'll be about you. It won't be about the Strategic Coach. So those are the three principles, is that first of all, it's entirely about them. And secondly, that the real difference that the program makes is actually in people's actual personal life and their business life. And then the third thing is that it will so impress them and their life will be so transformed that they'll want to tell everybody who really means a great deal to them that this will also be a terrific experience for them.